presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are FC.
In a 4-1 win against the Mariners yesterday, the Royals put an end to some negative streaks. Gone 5 straight losses. Gone 7 straight road losses. Gone 27 consecutive innings without a run. And gone 0 for their last 23 with runners in scoring position. It was a good start to the first day of a new month, and to set up a 3-game homestand against the second-best team in the National League, the Washington Nationals. Time for a new streak, a winning streak. The series begins now. Royals baseball back at Kauffman Stadium after a tough trip to the West Coast. The Royals are home for 3 against one of the best in the National League, the Washington Nationals. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Royals are scoring about a run and a half better at home than they are on the road. And in this series, the Royals will try and figure out how to stop the Nationals and Bryce Harper. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. The Royals ended the 5-game losing streak in Seattle yesterday, beating one of the best in the American League, Taijuan Walker. And now they face perhaps one of the best pitching staffs in the major leagues with the Nationals.
Yeah, it's amazing. In the highest league in the world, you're facing guys that can really deal. These guys can throw, and the Washington Nationals are going to be no different. However, these 3 guys here, it's interesting to see. They're going to be good, no question. But Steven Strasburg, I haven't seen this kid pitch, and I've watched him in the last few years. I can't wait to see what this guy's got. But really, first things first, let's get the lefty Gonzalez.
And that's without having to face Max Scherzer in this series with the Nationals. Well, if you're talking about the Nationals, you're probably going to talk about Bryce Harper at some point. He was the National League Player of the Month, the MVP from last year. How will the Royals stop him? We'll talk about that when we come back. Last year, Bryce Harper was the unanimous National League Most Valuable Player. His numbers aren't just better this year in April, HUD. They are significantly better.
Ooh, man, this guy is some kind of phenom. There's no question about it. I'm going to give you some expert analysis right now, Rhino, for those Royals pitchers. Keep the ball down.
And Edinson Volquez has done an outstanding job of doing that against the National League. You know, the Royals were 6-0 in his starts last year against the NL. We'll talk Volke right after this. Back to interleague play as the Washington Nationals are in town for 3 games, and Edinson Volquez makes the start tonight, and that's good news for the Royals. Our most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda. And since joining the Royals, Volquez is 4-0 against the National League. The Royals are 6-0, and if you go back to his last 2 full seasons against the National League, he has won 15 of his last 20 decisions against the National League. And the Royals are back home, where they've played very well this year. We'll discuss that right after this. Royals are back home for just 3. If you like some numbers, here they are. The Royals are 8-3 at home this year. They are scoring under 3 runs a game on the road. They are scoring over 4 games at home. And the Royals, when they score 4 or more runs this year, they are 12-1. Edinson Volquez for the Royals, Gio Gonzalez for the Nationals. Dusty Baker against Ned Yost. They saw quite a bit of each other in the National League Central, and they'll meet up again tonight at Kauffman Stadium. The first pitch is coming up next. But cool in Kansas City. We should get back into the 70s for tomorrow night's game and Wednesday afternoon's game before the Royals hit the road again. There's Dusty Baker. All he has done is win everywhere he goes, and now with his 4th major league team, his first year with the Washington Nationals, a team that is known more for its pitching early in the season, but they have some big bats in there like Bryce Harper and Daniel Murphy in his first year with the Nationals. But Washington is 13th in the league in team batting average, 9th in runs scored, so middle of the pack in many categories, but a lot of dangerous bats in their lineup. And with Bryce Harper in there, of course, the question comes up from time to time, is he the best in the major leagues? With more on that, here's Joe Goldberg.
Ryan, thanks. Second Monday in a row that the Royals face arguably the best player in the majors. Our greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. How about this breakdown? 23-year-old Bryce Harper, 24-year-old Mike Trout. 5 seasons for Harper, 6 for Trout, both off the charts OPSs, and Harper was over 1,000 last year. The WAR much higher for Mike Trout, has that great defense. 3 All-Star appearances to 4. Each has won an MVP. Each won the Rookie of the Year in 2012. I informally polled a bunch of Royals, 7 regular hitters for the Royals, on who they thought was better. And the general answer was you can't go wrong with either. But 5 guys said Mike Trout. After all, they're in the American League, and they said because he faces American League pitching, because he has that great defense. 1 said Harper based on what he's doing right now, not the full body of work, and 1 said a tie. It's a great debate to have. 2 of the phenomenal young players in the game, arguably 1 and 2.
Can't go wrong with either one.
No, and you know what? They're perfect guys for the face of Major League Baseball too. They're both under control. At least Harper's got his game out there under control, but hopefully Eddie Volquez can be able to stifle their offense and keep them down, and he's been doing a great job You know, you see that the 3.34, that's largely because of his last outing. He got roughed up a little bit out in Anaheim. But, you know, 25 strikeouts, he's got that going for him. He's got the 3 excellent pitches, a 2-seamer that runs into righties, away from lefties. He's got that nice overhand curve and a special changeup that moves down as well. So most of his pitches are moving south, which is good.
Michael Taylor will lead off for the Nationals. And Volquez's first pitch is high for ball 1. Taylor's off to a slow start, batting at 190. He has hit 3 home runs, and 2 of those 3 home runs have been leading off a game. So he's ready to go in the first inning. And now Volquez misses a little bit outside, and it's 2-0. Mentioned the Nationals middle of the pack, some toward the bottom of the pack in offensive categories, but they are 5th in their league in home runs. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, for the first swing of the evening for Michael Taylor, didn't look too comfortable. That ball had a little sink to it at the end, a 2-seamer. Showman has good speed, good defender. Struggling a little bit to start the season.
Hit hard and foul outside of third. So here's that last start that Hud was talking about. 12 hits in 5 innings. That's a career high for Volquez. Now 11 of those hits were singles, and most of them were on the ground. Second most runs allowed in any start for him in his career, and he had 5 high stress innings. There were base runners all over the place. The Angels had 14 base runners in 5 innings. He'd like a little more stress-free evening tonight as he buries that fastball, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes on Taylor.
Well, I had a chance to talk to him on the airplane last night, and he said, you know, the game will humble you at any time. You never know. You can be on top of the mountain one day, and the next day you're down in the valley. It's just the way the game goes. But what I liked about Volquez in one of his worst starts in his career was that he was on the verge of getting out of every one of those jams. He has that type of ability.
And he's not quite right with Taylor, who reaches with a walk. And Volquez right away moves to the stretch. A little different defense behind him tonight, presented by Ford. Gordon Kane and Orlando in the outfield. Christian Colon makes his second start. He'll be at third base tonight with Gio Gonzalez on the mound. Then Escobar, Infante, Hosmer around the horn, and Salvador Perez is behind the plate. Anthony Rendon, Nationals third baseman, with Taylor at first base and nobody out.
So in between pitches, Volquez looked around the infield to Escobar, and Volquez pointed to his left shoulder. And that was a little reminder. Keep the shoulder going north and south right to home plate. Same key for every hitter and every pitcher, every game.
Every golfer, every tennis player.
Exactly. So, you know, you hear us sometimes talk about it every night, but that's just the way the game is. It's about balance. It's balance on balance. Pitching and hitting, very similar. Classic confrontation. Rendon, good hitter. Run into some early bad luck this year. Hit a lot of atom balls. But this guy, he can hit the ball where it's pitched and with some authority. Volquez has that ground ball ability with his pitches that move south, a 2-seamer, that change up, and a curveball. So he can roll up some double plays. This year he's only induced 1.
Here's a good fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rendon was the Nationals' first-round pick 5 years ago when he was the National College Player of the Year at Rice University in Houston. Taylor started and stopped. And it's a good thing he stopped, because that was a great pitch to throw on for Salvador Perez.
I was just going to say, Taylor, he's got 3 steals this year so far, but I know he knows all about Salvi throwing out almost 60% of runners. I mean, Salvi can't wait. But one of the issues that troubled Volquez in that Angel game in his last start was his tempo. Typically has pretty good tempo. He's not one of the fastest guys out there, but the tempo, really what that says is confidence.
Fastball strike, 2-2.
Good quick tempo.
Defense loves that.
Defense loves it. They're sharper. They're not daydreaming as much. Even though these are big leaguers, they'll still wander. They'll still kind of look around and, you know, they'll kick the ground a little bit. So then when the ball's hit to you, you're like, oh. But when you don't have time to do all that stuff, you're sharper.
And that's a base hit into right center field for Rendon. Kane is on it quickly, so Taylor will stop at second base. And the Nationals have 2 on with nobody out, and now the middle of the order coming up.
Changeup usually finishes down below the knees. When it's up like that, any big league hitter is going to get a piece of that, especially a good number 2 hitter in the big leagues in Rendon.
Bryce Harper with 2 on, nobody out, just named the National League Player of the Month for April. And we showed you at the top of the broadcast how his April numbers this year far surpass what he did last year. Tied for 3rd with 9 home runs, 2nd with 24 RBIs, and 3rd in slugging percentage. He was the unanimous NL MVP last year. So Harper was hitless in the entire Nationals Cardinals series over the weekend, and 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts yesterday. Good thing or bad thing?
I heard that. Good thing. Keep him down. Keep him down, especially when you punch him out here in this first at bat. Volquez, go after him. With his movement that Volquez has, he's in command. He needs to tell himself, I'm in command. You'll hit when I pitch. That's the mentality a guy has to have. And Volquez, he's the ace of the staff, or one of them. He knows that. Got him down, keep him down.
Over a little longer stretch, Bryce Harper is just 1 for his last 17. The Cardinals held him down to 0 for 11 over the weekend. Changeup. Struck him out on 3 pitches.
There you go. And on the flip side, if the guy's red hot, you're in trouble. When he's hot like that, you know he's going to rig. But look at when he keeps that ball down with that type of movement, and he gets that changeup working, how he turns it over, man, tough to hit.
So Volquez, who had some difficulty locating his fastball against the first 2 hitters, going to his secondary pitches to take care of Bryce Harper, and now the veteran Ryan Zimmerman with 2 on and 1 out.
Now it's time for the lane ball. Mike Jerschley looks like he has Infante holding Michael Taylor close at second base, but really I don't think he needs to stay that close. Salvi is going to step behind Zimmerman if he goes and throw him out. Don't give ground.
0-1 on Zimmerman.
Hold that ground and let's see if they can help him out. 1 pitch, 2 outs. That's what he's hoping for.
Runners go. Salvi was going to throw back to first base. He was going to go with the trail runner, and Rendon started and stopped, and on his way back to first, Salvi thought about going there. So Taylor ends up with a stolen base. Rendon stays at first, and the double play is still in order.
That's right. There was a chance there, but the ball, Salvi had already made up his mind. Obviously, he wasn't going to go with Taylor. He was going to try to nail the secondary runner. But since he didn't go, keeps the lane ball in order.
Salvi blocks it. The runners hold, and it's still 1-2. We just saw that in the Seattle series where a trail runner was thrown out at second base, and that's actually a smart play by Rendon, recognizing that just because Taylor went and he didn't get a good break, that he shouldn't just go too, because Salvador Perez with a semi-accurate throw would have gunned him out by 10 feet.
That's right, because in a double steal, the trail runner always gets the worst jump because he's looking at the guy ahead of him. Just like Escobar in the play. Escobar didn't get a good jump, and Service or had Iannetta throw him up.
Zimmerman hits it to right field. Paulo was playing shallow, and that's going to sail over his head. Taylor will score. Rendon, who had to make sure that Paulo didn't make that catch, and maybe he waited too long. He only goes to third. And Ryan Zimmerman gives Washington a 1-0 lead. So the leadoff walk has turned into a run.
Early in the game, ball hit by a right-handed bat to the opposite field. Good pitch. It was down. Zimmerman, great swing right there. Caught underneath it there. And it's hard for the outfielder, Paulo, to tell how hard it was hit and the backspin on the ball. So, you know, he's already fairly shallow, but that ball had some good carry on it. You got to credit Zimmerman for driving a pitch like that. That ball was down and away.
And now Daniel Murphy, and the last time Daniel Murphy faced Edinson Volquez was in Game 5 of the World Series. 1 ball and no strikes. Both Daniel Murphy and Neil Walker, Murphy going from the Mets to the Nationals, and Murphy had been with the Mets for a long time, now in a new place. Neil Walker replacing him in New York, and he was leaving Pittsburgh where he grew up. They're both off to good starts. And that's going to be a difficult transition, especially if a player puts a lot of pressure on himself. Change up, and it's a little bit inside, and the count is 2-0. Murphy last year had a heck of a postseason. He didn't do a whole lot in the World Series, but prior to the World Series, he had a home run in 6 consecutive postseason games for the Mets. That was a major league record, not just a Mets record, a major league record. Lined up the left field line, foul.
Well, Daniel Murphy, it's not like he has a vengeful heart in this situation, saying, I'm going to make it up, because when you do that, you miss the ball. You try too hard. You see that swing to the opposite field there. He knows his role here. He knows his job. He's just going to try to put the ball in play and pick up another ribby here for his team. He's in his 7th year, going on his 8th, and he's got an idea. Used to be a kind of hitter that was kind of a pest. Now he has presence in that lineup. He knows who he is.
Good late movement. Murphy tried to sell that being inside by jumping back. Manny Gonzalez is the home plate umpire.
I just had a flashback to last year. Game 1 of the World Series, or what game did Volquez start?
Well, 1 and 5.
Yeah, okay.
Volquez
I thought it was
did
1.
the same thing to him.
He did, and Murphy, he chirped at the umpire the same way.
Nationals with a run in. They have Rendon at third and Zimmerman at second. Big pitch. Grounded to Hosmer. That'll get another run home. Volquez to the bag. So Murphy does a good job of just putting the ball in play with 2 strikes. And Washington takes a 2-0 lead. Zimmerman goes to third. Now we've seen a couple of things in this inning for the Nationals, like Rendon 2 strikes, base hit, Zimmerman 2 strikes, and as HUD described, took a good pitch and went the other way. Murphy, 2 strikes, put the ball in play. The Nationals last year were one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball making contact. And the Royals have made it popular again to have hitters that avoid strikeouts and put the ball in play. And they will tell you that that was one of the most appealing things about Daniel Murphy. They also signed Ben Revere, who was with the Blue Jays last year in the championship series. Ben Revere is one of the best in the game at putting the ball in play. So this is perhaps the Royals' impact on other major league teams.
Yeah, when we see it mainly in bullpens. You know, the Yankees went out and got all those arms that they got in the back end of theirs. But offensively, that's something that hitting coaches watched very carefully. Other teams. How are they beating them? How are they getting their runs? Well, their pressure and defenses, the team plays the defenses should make, didn't make them. Ball climbs up the glove, and there's another run.
Jason Worth hits it hard and foul into the crowd off to the left field side. Veteran Jason Worth.
Well, so far in this inning, everything's up. Now, that was on the inner half, and that's a good thing. If that was 2 inches more over the middle of the plate, that could have been more damage. Down is the key. You get the defense involved, they hit it right at him.
That's a little bit inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. And that's backing out of play. 3-2. Jason Worth looks like he'll be playing at the Levee after the game tonight with his acoustic guitar, and
he looks like
the
wolf.
Throwback rock and roll look.
Yeah, the Wolf Man. 36 years young.
Changeup. So Volquez had a rough inning, but he got 2 big strikeouts, both with the changeup. The Nationals still get 2 on RBIs from Zimmerman and Murphy.
Stuff is good. Need to pick up the tempo.
Washington before the Royals come to the plate, and will do so with Escobar, Kane, and Hosmer, Morales, Gordon, and Perez, and then it'll be Infante with Christian Colon at third base and Paulo Orlando in right field, facing Gio Gonzalez, who is one of 3 starters that we previewed at the top of the broadcast for Washington that is off to a great start.
Yeah, you know, you look at that at 25 strikeouts in 25 and a third innings. Impressive for a guy that doesn't throw much over 90. Okay, that tells me that he's got a great changeup. He's working his secondary pitches. Sure enough, he's a fastball changeup type of pitcher, and those guys usually give the Royals fits. He's going to mix in a few curveballs. He's got a little deception in his windup, but you know, he, for the most part, going to give you maybe one good pitch to hit each time up, and you got to take advantage of it. You can't miss. He doesn't make very many mistakes.
He has given up just 1 home run in 25 and a third innings this year, and look at that, 8 home runs last year, and that's in a full season.
And you would think that righties could get on him.
A little bit inside, 2-1 on Eske.
Righties only hitting 205 with 1 homer this year. Lefties hitting 158. Very stingy to righties.
Pulled foul by Escobar, who had a great finish to the road trip yesterday with a 3-hit game. He had 5 hits in the Seattle series, and he had really been scuffling going into yesterday's game. He was just 2 for 24. They're going to set up inside on him and miss inside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Now last year we loved it when Eske would lead off and swing at the first pitch, and he hit 364 last season, but just 200 this year, and having a tough time getting on so far to lead off an inning. And he hits that well to right center field. Harper is back, and Harper runs it down. But that's exactly where the Royals want Escobar to be with his swing.
Much better. Dale Swain wants these guys to compete in their at-bats, and this is good. Escobar waited. There's the one pitch that he got in this at-bat that he didn't miss. Harper, excellent jump. Went right back on it, took a straight route to the ball. Key is when you get that one pitch, don't miss it. So good start for Eske. You know, he hit it hard.
And here's Lorenzo Cain, and he started to warm up in Seattle just like Escobar. And it seemed that all of Escobar and Cain's hits were either to center field or right field. Royals felt like those 2 guys were getting a little too pull happy, but they made the adjustment against the Mariners.
They need to keep doing that with their minds. It's a mental thought process, and that's staying inside. And there's more base hits out there than you can imagine.
He helped out Gonzalez chasing a pitch out of the strike zone. 2-1
because he got big with his swing. He wanted to do more. He wanted to hit it out of the park. Just stay in your game. The long ball will come, and that'll react. You'll just react to that. What the heck went on with Gonzalez there? What's he doing? Looks like might be a little bit of a moisture issue there for him. Let's see. It looked like he hobbled. Didn't twist his ankle.
Maybe he lost the footing on his stride foot. Strike with a fastball. 2-2.
Gonzalez, 6 feet tall, 205. Doesn't have a lot of downhill leverage, but you see how smooth his windup is, and it appears that he's throwing harder than he really is. It's because of the smooth delivery. And just watching this young man on 11 pitches, he reminds me of Tom Glavine, a younger Glavine that threw a little bit harder.
Same number too, right?
Now that you said it, you're right.
Jammed him. And again, it's Harper in right field. 2 down. Washington Nationals have improved defensively. Here's how they're lined up tonight, with Worth in left, Taylor in center, Harper in right, Rendon, Espinoza, Murphy, Zimmerman on the infield, and Jose Lobaton is back at the plate He is Gio Gonzalez's personal catcher. He's not their regular catcher, but he's back there when Gonzalez is on the mound. And I wonder what Eric Hosmer is thinking as Gonzalez pitches and Hosmer swings and misses. 5 years ago, in May of 2011, Eric Hosmer had his first major league plate appearance against Gio Gonzalez, and he walked after working a 3-2 count.
Well, then he went on from there and somehow has a 4 for 6 numbers against him with 2 homers. So he's gotten a hold of Gio pretty well. A couple of them over the wall.
1-2. They're both from the Miami area, and Eric's older brother Mike played against Gio Gonzalez in high school. And now 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's a lot of fun competing against your homies. Believe it. Even you turn it up a notch.
Full count. Think about Hosmer's debut, and it's easy to forget this, but when he came to the Royals, you know, we're hoping for more power and overall extra base hits. But Eric Hosmer, before he got his first big league hit, walked twice, stole a base, and started and ended a double play. So he showed before he got his first hit in a snapshot what a complete player he is.
No doubt about it. When you told me that earlier, I thought, well, isn't that special? Because I consider Hosmer a better defender right now than he is a hitter. Now, he's going to change that. Hopefully one of these days he'll have that career year, monster year, but he's brilliant defensively.
And he does it again against Gonzalez. Falls behind in the count and reaches with a 2-out walk. And now Kendrys Morales with a man on and 2 out.
Morales is 2 for 8 in his career off of him. Mike Maddox was with the Rangers before this opportunity came.
First year with the Rangers, and he's had quite an impact on Gio Gonzalez, who was already an accomplished big league pitcher before Maddox arrived, but Maddox is one of the best in the business. Gio Gonzalez used to be a lefty, 93, 94, 95, all over the place sometimes. Big curveball, which was inconsistent. And let's watch the velocity tonight. I've seen a lot of 89, 90, and 91, and the word is that Mike Maddox has said, hey, why don't you pull back a little bit, trade some velocity for better location and better movement. And there's a fastball at 91. And the results, it's early, but the results speak for themselves with a 1.42 ERA in his first 4 starts.
Had an opportunity to talk to him before the game and talked about him changing, and you know, he's friends with Dusty Baker, and that's usually how you get a coaching job with a new manager. Talked about the different type of pitchers that he has in his bullpen and what we're going to see here out of Gonzalez, Rourke, and Strasburg. Talked about it's a mix. Some guys throw hard, some guys don't. We don't have a blazing bullpen like you guys do, but we have some guys that have a good idea about where they're throwing the ball. Really, that's the key.
There's Max Scherzer in his second year with the Nationals. The Royals will not see him in this series. Morales almost hit on the foot.
Okay, that curveball right there, that's where he likes to throw it to righties. Back leg, they call it. It's right to the back leg. It's going to start up and then hook right back over there. And lots of times righties swing over the top of that. It's a pitch designed for the hitter to chase.
And he chased one up and out of the strike zone there. Still 1-2. Morales, boy, he had a tough luck day yesterday in Seattle. He hit 2 of the hardest balls of the game and lined to right in one at bat. and then grounded sharply to second base in the second at bat, and that was with the Mariners second baseman Luis Sardinas playing in shallow right field.
Lobaton setting up.
2-2.
And you know the difference between those two outs that you just talked about, quarter of an inch, he has 2 homers. He gets underneath both of those out, so that's the positive you take from that 0 for 2 there in his first 2 times up. You take that back and you go, all right, I just missed him, I'm going to do it this time.
Another foul ball. So 26 pitches for Gio Gonzalez to the first 4 hitters.
The more pitches you can see, the better off you're going to be next time around. Believe it.
Just inside. Gonzalez was playing umpire. He thought the inning was over. 3-2.
Hosmer set the bar with that excellent plate appearance he had, eyeballing him, and there's a beauty. Now most right-handers are going to swing at that. I don't know how he laid off it.
Gonzalez backs off the rubber as Zimmerman at first let him know that he's not going to hold Hosmer. So Eric can get an even bigger lead, and there he goes. And Morales swings and hits it deep to left field. Worth is at the wall. He's got it. Oh. And he just missed it again. So 2 days in a row, Kendrys Morales has come very close to getting a big hit for the Royals. That one may be just enough down around the end of the bat.
Yep, you're correct. Good at bat, though.
Royals are down 2-0. They came very close to tying it in the bottom of the first. Stephen Drew leads off. He'll be the Nationals DH tonight. Kendrys Morales got it just down toward the end of the bat enough to stay in the ballpark. Otherwise came very close to hitting a 2-run home run. And it's 0-2 on Drew.
Just thrown 2 pitches and look at his tempo. What a difference. I'm sure Dave Island or somebody got in there and said, hey, look, come on, pick that tempo up a little bit. You're looking like you're not confident out there, and you got great stuff.
I've heard many pitching coaches and catchers tell me that most of the time when a pitcher is struggling with his tempo, he doesn't realize it. Now, you pointed out last inning that he recognized there was a mechanical issue that he had, but most of the time they need to be told to pick up the tempo.
And Volquez is like that. We went through a season with him last year. Good pitch, good try.
Inning began with a walk to Michael Taylor in the first inning. And then Ryan Zimmerman doubled in Taylor. Daniel Murphy's ground out scored Anthony Rendon. Volquez also struck out 2 in that inning, both with changeups. And his curveball stays high and he turns away in frustration. So he still hasn't found that pitch tonight. And it's 2-2. And Salvi wants him to go right back to that pitch. And he gets a strikeout.
Wow. Did you see the swing on Stephen Drew?
That's a, tell you what, that's a good call by Salvador Perez to say, you know what, you've been whiffing with that pitch tonight, but we're gonna figure it out. Let's go right back to it.
I love it. You're exactly right. And this one here that starts out at the belt, it ends up down around the ankles. That's the one. The one that starts around the letters, that's the one that's hanger. But you know, after he threw the bad curve first, walked off the back of the mound, let everybody in the park know that, man, I don't have my curveball. I mean, see, it's the body language, and he's a veteran. He should know better than that. Don't want to let the whole park know you don't have your good stuff, although he looks like he's got good stuff tonight.
Lobatone drives it into deep left center field, and Kane makes the play. We told you before the first pitch, it's a cool night in the 50s, and it's a damp night, so the ball is not going to carry. 55 degrees, no wind, but it's chilly, and we've seen a couple of balls already. Lobatone and maybe Morales in the first inning that a little later in the year may have carried farther than tonight.
It's very difficult here at the K to judge the ball. I mean, you can tell by the sound. I mean, that ball, when Lobatone hit that, I said, that's out of here. It was clean. It's a clean, pure sound. You can tell. But this is a deep, deep ballpark.
Danny Espinosa bunts. Volquez fields. Hosmer comes out the base and applies the tag. So Volquez, after a long first inning, only needs 8 pitches to get through the second. In the Nationals have a 2-0 lead over the Royals. I'm sure Dusty's aware that the Royals have had quite a bit of success against the National League. Our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. These are the best interleague records since 2014. Nobody has been better than the Royals. The Nationals are in the middle at 21-12. The Royals are 1-1 so far this year against the National League after opening the season in a 2-game split with the Mets. Alex Gordon, Salvador Perez, and Omar Infante in the bottom of the second inning. Alex takes a high strike. Alex had a tough trip. He was 2 out of 19. And he is hit by a pitch, and he was plunked twice during the road trip. So that was a couple of ways to get on base, and now he opens the homestand, getting nailed to lead off the bottom of the second inning.
Why not? He gets in, he's right up in there, he's got his nose on the plate, hands are right there. Luckily it hit off of his forearm and not his hand. But Gonzalez, a little 3/4 arm sidearm action there. I mean, he's gonna, looks like he's gonna drop his arm angle a little bit against lefties.
It's the 4th time that Alex has been hit this year. Tied for 2nd most in the American League.
So the first inning, a lot of back leg curveballs to righties, to that backside. Fastballs, change-ups away, not really coming inside too often. But one thing I noticed is that he works fast in his windup. He slows down a little bit now in his stretch. He's slowing down. So he has a quick stroke with his legs, his movement from the windup, but now it's a little bit different.
Changeup. 0-1 on Salvi.
Well, that arm speed, that's really good with that changeup. Same arm speed as the fastball. Deceptive.
Good swing right on that fastball. 0-2.
Okay, now Salvi's waiting, and it wasn't in where Lobaton wanted it. He made a mistake there. Here's the one pitch Salvi gets. Hopefully he'll get another one. Told you, one pitch you're going to get to hit. That's how good these guys are. They only give you one. Sometimes two, they make mistakes.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Having fun already.
You know,
Gonzalez doesn't have the greatest tempo in the world either.
No, he's not. I talked about it. He's slowing everything down with a runner on. He did a little bit with Haas. Yeah, but that gave Morales a couple of good pitches to hit. But he did a good job of laying off the tough ones there, and he got one and almost tied it up. You know, watching Salvi, we see him, you know, he plays with a joyful heart. There's no doubt about it. I wish I could have played like that, Ryan, but you know, with two totally different careers. Salvi's a star. He was a star right away when he got to the big leagues. He gets it. He has fun. You know, for some guys, it takes them a long time to get there. When they get there, I'm gonna get you. It's a different mentality of different players and how they carry themselves on the field.
And we've heard it a million times when a player's career turns a corner, or maybe they turn a slump into a hot streak. It seems like there's always some reference. You know, I'm just going out and having fun. Just going out and playing the game.
Keeping it simple.
Two and 2 on Salvi. Alex is doing an excellent job of convincing Gio Gonzalez that Terrence Gore is the runner at first base. Because he is just staring down Alex.
Yeah,
and Alex, right before that last pitch of Salvador Perez, started jumping around at first base to try and further distract him.
And when a guy gets distracted, he leaves the mistake out over the plate to the hitter. That's the whole idea.
Broke his bat. Espinoza is out from short. And he runs it down.
Espinosa knows that Worth doesn't have the range he used to have as an outfielder at 36 years old. So when infielders know that, when a ball goes up, it's their ball all the way.
And now Omar Infante, who had an important hit yesterday when he drove in a run in the second inning in Seattle. That put an end to a 27-inning scoreless streak for the Royals. They'd go on to score 3 more and win 4-1. I asked Ned Yost before the game, and you know how much Ned loves to speculate. but I couldn't help, because Ned has talked and did talk during the 5-game losing streak that there was still a lot of energy in the dugout, optimism. The guys are encouraging each other. They're paying attention to the game. He didn't see anyone losing focus. And I asked Ned if he felt like yesterday was one of those games where enough happened where there was a release of some tension, a release of some pressure, where maybe they could get on a run. And Ned, as I said, tongue-in-cheek, loves speculation. Yeah, but he said no, it did feel like one of those games. And when Infante got the base hit, guys were kind of joking in the dugout, okay, we're back. Good change up, and it's 1-2 on Infante. Oh. Here's the hit we're referring to. Yeah, sometimes it's just a little blue,
right? And that ball was way up out of the zone. And that goes to show and to tell you too, you don't have to hit balls that are down in the middle of the plate. You can get hits on pitches that are off the plate and high and to the sides.
Center field into that cold air. Taylor back to make the play, and there are 2 down.
You're going to have to really juice one to get it out of the yard here at the K tonight.
And now Christian Colon with 2 down. Chris did not play during the road trip. His last game was here at Kauffman Stadium during the last homestand. And in fact, the last game of the homestand a week ago Sunday against the Orioles. Filling in at second base for Omar Infante. And the Royals at that point were 12-6 after winning that game. And it was a game where both Christian Colon and Drew Butera, who was filling in for Salvador Perez, had big roles. Ned Yost got a lot out of his bench guys that day. Timeout had been called.
It amazes me how umpires will grant the hitter time. I assume that Colon called time. But you know, when the pitcher's already started his windup and delivery, that's dangerous. You can hurt a pitcher that way when he decelerates to stop and slow down. I've known pitchers that come back in the dugout and go, you know, I'm just going to throw it to the back of the screen and keep my same windup and throw it.
Well, he's really hurting himself, taking so much time in between pitches. I mean, a hitter is only going to wait so long. They've got a rhythm and a timing as well, and he just come and set. And eventually the hitter's going to ask for time. Doesn't matter if he's about to go into his motion or not.
You're right. But the umpire does not have to grant him time. Oh, that's the one he wanted there. It's one thing that I've admired about Colon. He's not up there swinging at the first pitch. This guy, he waits. He sees as many pitches as he can. That's good. He's patient, calm, and when you play once a week, it's tough to do. You want to get out there and you want to show your worth. See the breathing? Deep breaths, important. Helps slow everything down and relaxes the muscles.
And that's into right center field. Taylor again. So Gordon reaches to begin the second inning and never advances beyond first base. 2-0 Washington. Chatting with home plate umpire Manny Gonzalez and first base umpire and crew chief Fielden Colbreth. Before we get to the top of the third inning, we'll see if we can figure out what that's all about. In the meantime, our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. Bad news for the Baltimore Orioles, who were just here during the last homestand. J.J. Hardy, their Gold Glove shortstop, with a broken left foot, will be out 6 to 8 weeks. However, they have Manny Machado, who played a game of shortstop in the Royals-Orioles series here and is a natural shortstop, so that could be an easy move for the Orioles. Baltimore has been bumped out of first place in the East by the Red Sox, who are 5 games above 500. All right. Dusty Baker took the Giants to the World Series in 2002, where they lost to the Angels. He took the Cubs and the Reds to the playoffs. He's won a division with every team he's been with, and now in his first year with the Nationals. So there might be some issues with the replay system.
Or the phones or something. Something has to do with the communication. Because whenever there's a replay, you never see the umpires talking. They're always listening to New York. But Fielden Colbreth, he's talking. He's doing all the talking. So they're explaining what's going on down here on the field.
We had a game during the last homestand where I think it was the Tigers replay system went down, and if their system goes down, then the Royals were not able to use theirs, so they adjusted the rules and gave both teams their usual one challenge, but then unlimited requests for the umpires to take a look at it. And now Manny Gonzalez is going to go back to Dusty Baker and report to him whatever he heard on the headsets.
Oh, it's too bad for Edinson Volquez that he has to stand out there and wait on a cool night tonight.
Volquez and Dusty Baker have a close friendship. Dusty Baker referred to Edinson Volquez before the game tonight as one of his kids, and that there are certain players he just got very close to as a manager with different teams, and Volquez was one of those guys with Cincinnati, and loved the way he pitched, but more than anything just loved his attitude. He's always in a good mood, always wants to have a good time in the clubhouse, and Dusty's nickname for Edinson Volquez was Good Time Charlie.
That's beautiful.
Top of the order, Michael Taylor bunts. Colon was playing in. He gets it on a bounce and over to Hosmer for the out.
Having the athletic ability to be able to throw off of your right leg off balance is really something that you got to have to play on that left side of the infield. Watch him throw off his right leg. Got to get some leverage. Quick release. Gold glove at first base, just get rid of it. See how he kind of got his feet right so he could throw off that right leg.
So Taylor's down. Taylor scored one of the 2 runs in the first inning, and now Rendon, he scored the other run after reaching with a single. Volquez was having trouble with just about every pitch but his changeup in the first inning, and he used that changeup to strike out Bryce Harper and Jason Worth, and then he got his breaking ball back in the second inning and struck out Stephen Drew with that pitch, and now he's set down 6 in a row, and he missed badly with that fastball. 2-1. Hit well to right field. Paulo Orlando waits for it, and there are 2 down. And now Volquez has retired 7 straight. Game 2 of the series is tomorrow night, same time, and we hope you'll join us for the first T-shirt Tuesday of the season. The first 10,000 fans through the gates receive this light blue World Champs T-shirt presented by Teva. So the Royals and the Nationals tomorrow. Royals.com or 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. And that's going to be Chris Young against Tanner Roark. And now Bryce Harper swings and misses. 0-1. Hud already has his shirt.
Yeah, beautiful. Look at the crown. Crown right there in the middle of the country,
which is where Kansas City is located.
Way to go.
Harper, who has struck out in 5 straight at bats, sends it into deep center field, and Kane makes the play. So Edinson Volquez, after struggling in the first, has now set down 8 in a row.
Bottom of the third inning, Nationals on top. Gio Gonzalez had a little firm talking to with his catcher, Jose Lobaton. Watch this. This is after the inning here. Watch Lobaton. You got to pick it up. Come on. You got to pick it up. The tempo is dragging. Your infielders are going to sleep. Come on. Let's go. Pick it up. You can do it. You got good stuff, but let's go. Same thing with Volquez in the first inning. Tempo is important. Catcher sees it. Everyone sees it.
And he's Gonzalez's personal catcher, even though he's not the regular catcher. Partly because he knows Gonzalez's personality. And sometimes the catcher needs to tell the pitcher what the pitcher needs to hear, not necessarily what he wants to hear. Gonzalez hit Paulo Orlando. They're going to say he's out of the baseline. He was running up along the grass and maybe had gotten on the dirt when he was hit, but he was not in the running lane.
The minute he bunted that ball, I was hoping that he would get back into the line, because you have to know that you got to get in that line on a ball that you push off a lefty. Now, I've seen guys on the grass worse than that, but he is definitely on the grass. And so
that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you're going to get called out 10 out of 10 times on that. So as a hitter, you have to consciously make an effort to get in that line, in that lane. Great idea, though. Ideally, you want to make the first baseman field the ball. Then he vacates the bag and you got an easy walk in.
Curveball for a strike to Escobar. A good swing against Gonzalez in the first inning when he lined out to Harper in deep right center field. And now ground ball the other way. Murphy will throw him out. So another good swing for Escobar, but out. And the Royals, with 2 down in the third inning, are still looking for their first hit.
You know, they're getting some good swings on him. They're having some good plate appearances. They're not just going up there flailing and bailing. They're obviously, Gonzalez is a fly ball pitcher, and they're getting some balls in the air off the bat. But I like what I'm seeing. They're competing in their at bats. It's closing in on 50 pitches. It's early.
At the knees for a strike to Lorenzo Cain. He flied out to Harper in right field in the first inning. Lorenzo Cain is still without a double. This is game 25 for the Royals. That was a big part of his game last year. Career numbers across the board, including 34 doubles. 2-1. A year ago, through May the 1st, he was hitting .337, same amount of home runs, 3 more RBIs, but a lot more hits. And there's a base hit into left field. So Lorenzo Cain gets the Royals' first hit, and now Lorenzo has a 5-game hitting streak.
Yeah, and you know, he's doing it by trying to stay within himself. And we saw the comparable numbers last year, this year. He's not that far off. He'll get it going.
So he's really picked it up after that day off on Wednesday in Anaheim, and then there was this scheduled day off on Thursday before the series in Seattle. Eric Hosmer was down in the count 1-2, facing Gonzalez in the first inning, and reached with a walk. Ball 1. Hosmer has 31 hits. That is tied for 3rd in the American League. And his .333 batting average is 6th in the league. Low strike. 1-1.
2 of Hosmer's homers have come off lefties, so he's 2 against righties, 2 against lefties. Stays inside the ball well, especially when they're trying to break that ball away from him.
2-1.
No stolen base attempts versus Gio Gonzalez so far this year. A guy like him, you're going to go on first movement the minute he lifts up his foot if you're going to plan on stealing. And of course, Rusty Kuntz is the master over there picking out things, and he's been to the ballpark all day. Rusty Kuntz studying Gio Gonzalez's move, picking out little things that he can pick up to help his base stealers.
And yesterday, Alex Gordon did that against Vidal Nuno. He went on first movement and beat the throw from the first baseman.
Yeah. And the one thing he did well is that he kept his path into second base. He didn't stop. Sometimes when a base runner takes off, he'll look at the pitcher and he knows the pitcher's throwing over, and some guys will go, oh, he got me, and they'll stop. But he just kept going, and that's how you get a bag. You know, the first baseman's got to make a good throw to get you.
Full count, 2 down, so Zimmerman backs off on the right side. Kane runs, and Hosmer walks again.
Impressive. Hosmer's figured out that Kendrys Morales hitting behind him is big protection. He's going to get some pitches to hit, sure, because they don't want to have to face Morales. But Hosmer's figuring it out. He doesn't have to go up there and take care of the damage himself. He's going to pass it on. So another good plate appearance. Morales, first inning, he got his money's worth. Now he didn't barrel it. He hit it off the end of the bat. If he barrels it, it's out of here and it's a tie game. But it's a good first plate appearance at bat.
Curveball for a strike. That Marlins man selling hot dogs behind Ken. Oh no.
Same color. Morales hitting .400 from the right side. That's just in 20 at bats. 8 hits, 1 homer.
Kane runs to third, and Lobaton's throw is on the money, and Lorenzo Cain, with Morales at the plate, ends the 3rd inning trying to steal third.
Oh, well, he guessed wrong. You got to make sure 100% that you can make it.
thinking about his decision in the bottom of the third inning for a while, with 2 on and 2 out, and Kendrys Morales at the plate representing the potential go-ahead run. Kane is thrown out at third by Jose Lobaton to let Gio Gonzalez off the hook. So it's still 2-0 Washington, and Ryan Zimmerman leads off the fourth. Zimmerman doubled to right in the first inning, driving in the first of 2 Nationals runs. I love Ryan Zimmerman's batting stance. It's like someone out of a black and white video from the black and white film from the 30s or the 40s, you know, when they would just wind up like a pitcher before they would hit.
He's got a little throwback stance. Turns that front foot in. That makes him conscious of the front side and want to leak out.
2 balls and 1 strike.
Tell you what, though, that double he hit his first time up was a beautiful stroke on a really good located pitch. It was excellent. It's down low. He bent his legs and went down and drove it over Paulo's head and right.
Great pitch. Zimmerman didn't like it. 2-2. Now he's starting to put his fastball where he wants it.
Yeah, almost identical to where he hit that ball in his first at bat over Paulo's head. Tough pitch. Most hitters can't get to that. That's what was impressive about it.
Full count.
Show you his last at bat. Show you where this pitch was here. See how he bent his back leg to get down so he could barrel it. Man, nice adjustment with his body.
Down to Hosmer, who bobbles for a moment but has time. Zimmerman, the veteran, running hard up the line. And that's 9 in a row retired by Volquez. Now available at the Majestic Team Store as a DVD Blu-ray combo pack, Royalty Reigns, a comprehensive look back at the 2015 Royals and details how a champion was built, from the backstory of how the club was assembled to the vision of Dayton Moore and the support of ownership to key moments during the regular and postseason. Royalty Reigns at the Majestic Team Store here at Kauffman Stadium. One away to Daniel Murphy. Not sure if Daniel Murphy is going to be rushing off to the team store to get Royalty Reigns. He takes a curveball for a strike. He grounded out in the first inning, but got a runner in from third.
At least he wasn't here on opening night to see the flag being raised or the ring ceremony the next game.
Changeup makes it 0-2.
Murphy's telling himself right now, it's going to be a long night if you keep giving him that pitch. But that's perfectly executed. And Murphy's not happy. Didn't have to be.
He just kind of has a running conversation with the home plate umpire.
Yeah, and then, I mean, he might have been talking to himself that last time.
Told you he had a great postseason leading up to the World Series. Did not have a good series at the plate and definitely not in the field. He made a key error in Game 4 that really turned the game around. The Royals went on to win, and then the very next night the Royals were popping champagne. 2-2. All 7 home runs were before the World Series, and we told you earlier, home runs in 6 consecutive postseason games, which is a major league record. On the ground, past Infante, and Murphy is on with 1 out.
Playing him straight up. Got his top hand on that. Had some top hand spin on the ball. It got out of the infield quickly.
And now Jason Worth. Popped up. And Fonte goes out. Kane comes in. 2 outs. And Worth is 0 for 2.
Both starters tonight having elevated pitch counts. Not too bad, but really a little bit more than they want.
Steven Drew struck out on a curveball in the 2nd inning. Royals really gave him a bad time last year when he was playing for the Yankees. On the ground, Hosmer's got it right at the bag, and that ends the inning. Volquez has retired 11 of the last 12.
Back at Kauffman Stadium, 23-year-old Bryce Harper was born in October of '92. He was not even 1 year old when George Brett played his last game, but he says growing up he used to watch video of George Brett all the time and admired the way the Hall of Famer played.
Just the way he played, the way he went about it, his mentality, his attitude, the way he hit, everything. He just played the game the right way every single day he went out there. And of course, he's definitely a legend around here in these parts. But he was somebody that I admired and looked up to when I was growing up, and somebody that is truly one of the best. So it's a lot.
Spent about 5 minutes talking with Bryce today. Said that growing up he'd go back and watch video of Pete Rose, Mickey Mantle, and George Brett, and he said he hopes gets a chance to see George here during this series and catch up with him.
Wow. Well, what a coincidence.
Wow.
George is here in the booth with us. How about that?
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. I had heard that he was a fan, but I'm going, that's got to be a bunch of BS, because he was 1 year old when I quit playing. He must have had a good beta or a good video recording system at his house.
A beta?
Yeah, beta, or whatever they call those things.
By the way, you can Google that if you want to, if you're not sure what a beta is. The old Betamax.
Those old recordings of stuff.
Yeah, but he's 100% right. Attitude and the way you went about your job, George. Forget about you had more hits than any third baseman in the world. It's your attitude and the way you presented yourself as a big leader that impressed him and many others.
Well, that's nice to hear that young kids today, even though they never saw me play in person, remember the way I played the game, the way I went about playing the game, and the hard work that I put into the game prior to the games, and the competitiveness that I did have. So I mean, it's a big honor to have what people consider the best player in the game today say those nice things about you.
We just left Seattle. Kyle Seager, their third baseman, was a big fan of yours as well. And
how old's he? 24.
He's a little bit older than Harper is. I always think that's a great tribute to a player like you. And I've seen it a lot as Royals announcer when I read bios, and I've seen a lot of players over the years that their favorite players are one guy that played for their favorite team. You can figure out a guy grew up in New York. His favorite player was Derek Jeter and George Brett. Like when the second player is a guy that wasn't even in his hometown, that's got to be the ultimate compliment.
Yeah, it really is. Like I said it earlier, I'm flabbergasted by the whole thing. I remember last year, right at the end of the season, Jeff Davenport called me up, the traveling guy and the clubhouse guy, and he said, "Hey, Under Armour wants you to do a deal for them, and they're going to put it on their Facebook page or something, and it's all because Bryce Harper's an Under Armour guy." And it's like in anticipation of him being the MVP of the National League. And they basically gave me some stuff to say. A TV crew came over to the house, and I'm saying, "Are you kidding me? Is there any other choice but Bryce Harper as MVP?" And so I did some stuff for him, and then they put it on Facebook or whatever they do, tweeted it. I don't know, but that's the first time that I had heard that he was kind of a fan. And I think one other time, Bob Schaefer, the old Royal coach and scout, he was struggling in the minor leagues or something, and he had me call him. And he gave me his number, and he said, "Hey, can you call this guy? He's hurt, he's frustrated, he's a real competitive guy. I think if you called him, it would do a lot for him." And I remember calling him on the phone when he was in the minor leagues. Didn't know he would turn out to be this guy, but you heard so much about this guy when he was a young kid. On the cover of Sports Illustrated, I think when he was 16. I think he graduated high school at 16.
The chosen one is what it said on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
How about that? And then he went to junior college to play against better competition and ended up getting them the #1 pick in the draft that year. But he's definitely worth coming out to watch.
Of all the questions I've asked you over the years, one just pops into my mind. I should have asked you a long time ago, but with so many of your contemporaries, we're going to run out of time. Can you stick around for another half inning? Okay. How about that? That's a play that'll make
Get me in the booth. That's 3 up, 3 down
every single time. So we just have you hang around.
Sure.
And okay, I'm going to get right to the question I wanted to ask you. Of course, I asked you a question with 2 outs and Salvi at the plate. But for someone who is so admired by the way you played the game, by your teammates, your contemporaries, by kids, Who was George Brett for George Brett? Who did you look at when you were a kid and said, I want to play like him?
Well, I had a chance. My brother Ken was a high draft pick by the Boston Red Sox in 1966 and was pitching out of high school, and he was pitching in the World Series in '67. So I had a chance to go back to St. Louis for the Red Sox Cardinal World Series game, and I was riding on the bus, and he introduced me to a guy named Carl Yastrzemski, and I was 13 years old. In 1967, Yaz won the Triple Crown. And I was when I was an infielder when I got into high school, I really admired Brooks Robinson. Those were the two guys that I really looked up to, besides my brother. But those are the two guys, and got a chance to play against both of them for a long time. And Brooks and I became great friends. Yaz and I became great friends. And one of the greatest things that happened to me was the last year Yaz was playing. I was out taking some early batting practice with Charlie Lau, and Yaz came up and he said, you know, George, let me ask you a few questions about hitting.
Really?
You know, why do you do this and why do you do that? And the next thing you know, Yaz was trying him in BP the next day, and he said, yeah, that feels pretty good. I think I'm going to try this. I wish I would have tried it earlier. But that was really cool.
Brooks Robinson, because of his batting from the right side or his third base prowess?
His third base play. Yeah, he was just so much fun to watch. He was so much fun to watch. And like I said, he and I wore number 5 because of Brooks Robinson, you know, so.
Of course, your brother Ken gave me my first glove.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
I haven't
when
told
he was
you
with
that
the
story
Dodgers?
before. When he was with the Dodgers, yeah.
He was with a lot of teams, but I figured that since your dad was with the Dodgers and he was with the Dodgers,
Yeah.
you guys probably hooked up there.
Do you still have it?
I've got it somewhere. Absolutely, I do. I was.
But you weren't left-handed.
Yes, I was.
Oh, you were left-handed.
Yeah, still am.
Okay.
I was. Yeah, it was 1979, so I was 8 years old, and I had a. It wasn't my first glove, but the glove I had wasn't very good, and I started to realize that if I don't bring a glove to the ballpark, the players let me use their glove.
Yeah. So
your brother and Jerry Royce would let me use their glove, and finally they just got tired of it, and they went to the Rawlings guy, and they went on it together, and.
We got to get this poor kid a glove.
We got to get this kid a glove because
his dad won't
wearing
get
us
him.
out. Yeah, exactly. So I've told you this before. As a kid growing up in Los Angeles, when you said Brett to me in baseball, it was Ken Brett.
Right.
Yeah. So
it was like that for a long time. I mean, he was a really, really good high school player. I mean, they say to this day he's one of the best athletes ever to come out of Southern California, and there's been a bunch of them. So.
Very good broadcaster too.
Yeah.
For the Angels.
Yeah, that's when I got to know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
I loved him.
And you know what? He was a pretty good older brother too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good high school player. He signed out of high school, and he was a good father and good announcer. He had not a great career in the major leagues, but for someone that had Tommy John surgery long before Tommy John, he had elbow surgery, and it changed the way he pitched. He became a finesse pitcher, but he ended up getting 12 years in the big leagues, and fortunate enough to get a chance to play with him in Kansas City at the end of 1980 and all of 1981. So it was his last go-round as a baseball player, and we were teammates, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. And just happened to be with the Red Sox in '67 and got you to cross paths with Carl Yastrzemski.
Yeah. Kenny Harrelson, I remember him. Tony Canigliaro. They had a great team, really good team.
What was it like for you at the end of your career when you had younger players coming up and saying, you know, these are guys now you're competing with kids that wanted to be like you? Was that odd?
Well, they didn't really say that back then, but there was a lot of times near the end of my career where guys would say, hey, our clubhouse guy, I forget, Al Zeke was there for a while, and then after that I forget who was, Mike Burkhalter I think was the guy. And Chuck Hawk was always on the visiting side. They'd come over and say, hey, can you sign these 8 balls? There's 8 guys over there that want a personalized ball to them, you know. So, you know, you oblige, you do that stuff when you're a player. And it was flattering. It was flattering, but then it wasn't very flattering when a center fielder that you gave him an autographed ball to before the game made a diving catch in right center. Took a couple ribbies off the table.
So when you're
going, what are you doing, dude?
You're rounding the back.
Yelling and screaming at him.
Give me that ball back. Right. 2 on, nobody out to Michael Taylor. And now 2 balls and 1 strike.
We were out in Anaheim. We showed your 3,000th hit
off of Tim Fortuno.
Right.
And was that Oberkfell that it went by?
Yeah,
Okay,
Kenny
I
Oberkfell.
thought that's who that was.
Yeah.
You know, we went fast and you ate him up with that,
Yeah.
man. You scalded that.
Oh, I smoked that one.
Oh, yeah.
I smoked it.
It was right to one step to his left.
It was like the one Morales hit yesterday to their second baseman. But they didn't put that shift on me. They overplayed me on the dirt. But that was I hit that ball about as hard as Morales did yesterday. That one to the second baseman. He hit that first one. He hit pretty good too.
He almost pinned Nelson Cruz to the right field wall at that first one. Here's the base hit.
How do you get that up so fast?
Sam Abramson. Sammy Abramson.
Magic.
Yeah.
Hey, Gooby.
All right. Speaking of Angels broadcasters, Mark Gubicza, we just saw him on the last road trip. Now our producer Joe Vencius has just been dying to show this as we're talking about the intensity of your game. You know it's coming here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he kicked you.
He kicked me.
What the heck?
He kicked me.
It's on.
Yeah. Then it was 3-against-1. My own coach was pulling me back, and Nettles and
Thurman.
Yeah, and Thurman gets in there, but Guidry was right there, so I had 3 people pushing me or pulling me backwards.
Hud, my favorite part about that play?
I would have liked to finish that with Nettles. I would have liked to.
But everyone else got involved.
Yeah.
Right? Hud, my favorite part about that play right there you just saw?
Yeah.
Nobody was thrown out of the game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just went right back
That's
to
the way
finishing
the game's supposed to be played. And no one got thrown. That was a playoff game. That was a 5th and deciding game of a playoff game. They weren't going to throw anybody out.
Well, you weren't going to put up with that. I wouldn't either.
If I got thrown out, I got thrown out. But I don't know many guys that are competitive would let someone kick them in the face and not do anything.
Heskey takes it himself, double play, and Lobaton goes to third.
I guarantee the right fielder, my new favorite outfielder or National League player, Bryce Harper, he's my new favorite player now. He wouldn't let anybody do that
That's
to him.
right.
The overhand right. I liked it. The overhand right clipped him. Who was the third base coach there?
Chuck Hiller.
Wow.
So it very quickly turned into about a 2-on-25 there, right? While the support came from the first base.
You never want to get in a fight by the other team's dugout.
No.
Think about that.
Or you can be Brian McRae and get hit by a pitch and just charge. That was another one of my favorite Royals highlights of all time. He may have gotten a little bit of that from his father.
You think?
His dad was the manager in that game, wasn't he?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Brian McRae hit by a pitch against.
I'm sure you'll show it in about 8 seconds.
Yeah, they're probably looking for it. Brian McRae hit by a pitch here at then Royal Stadium, and instead of charging the pitcher, charged the visitor's dugout.
Oh, I love that. That's outstanding.
Kevin Kennedy, I think, was the manager.
Now,
sounds right.
We don't want to condone fighting because it's not a part of the game anymore.
No.
But look, sometimes you're hearing a lot of guys in that other dugout chirping and saying stuff, and sometimes your attention's that way. I'm going there. George, quickly, what did you see in spring training from the Royals this year? Any different from the last 2 springs?
No, I thought they came and they worked hard. They were all about business. There was no goofing around. The guys worked as hard as they did the last 2 years, and hopefully it's going to show up.
Thank you, George.
You got it, guys. Good seeing you.
Appreciate your time.
Good seeing you.
Way to go.
And there's the statue. Out in the outfield experience, still 2-0 Washington. Washington with 2 runs in the top of the first inning, and it's still 2-0 to the bottom of the 5th. It's time for our Sprint trivia question for tonight. Who holds the Expos/Nationals record for most career home runs? Well, that guy there has the most home runs for the Nationals, but that's since 2005. And when the Expos 1969, right, came in with the Royals. So from 1969 to 2004, they were the Montreal Expos. Omar Infante against Gio Gonzalez takes a strike, 1-1.
You got to wonder where Hall of Famer Andre Dawson is on that list. Vladimir Guerrero.
Larry Walker. Another out in the air as Murphy waits for it to come down. Infante is 0 for 2. Let's go around the league, brought to you by Panera Bread. Minnesota has not won a game this year against a team with a winning record. Tonight they're playing a team with a losing record, the Astros, who are really struggling, and Minnesota leads 5-1 in the top of the 5th. The Philadelphia Phillies, 2 series ago, they swept these Washington Nationals in Washington. They're 15-10. And then the National League West, just a couple of days ago, nobody in that division was at or above 500, and now 3 teams right at 500. Washington has the second best league, or the second best record in the league, just a half game off the Chicago Cubs. So Dusty Baker's impact has been immediate. This is a team that was counted on to do a lot more last year, the Nationals, and didn't even make the playoffs. And the year before last, they got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. Espinoza throws out Christian Colon. Chris is 0 for 2, and they're 2 down in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Nationals a year ago were 4 games under 500 at this point, and tonight they come in 10 games above 500.
Well, obviously, when you change managers, the team usually will adapt to the manager's personality. And Matty Williams, intense guy, and was always intense. So it was a kind of a stressful deal in the clubhouse and around there. Dusty Baker, he's the kind of manager that you don't know if he's your manager or not. He's like a teammate. So he's the kind of guy that you can talk to about anything, any issue you have, off the field, on the field, and he's going to talk to you like he talked to his son. So he's a great guy. I had 30 days with him in 1994 when I came back from Japan. The Giants hired me, and Dusty's second year as a manager there, and you could tell we would stretch and he would stretch with us. He would just sit out there with us, and he would get in the in the line of talk, and we would all socialize, and he'd throw in his 2 cents. So when you play 19 years in the majors and you're that kind of player, he obviously brought that style, and now his 21st year as a manager, this guy's had some kind of career. Very good communicator. I hear you, Bake.
Well, we can't see it tonight because he has the jacket on with the cold weather, but one thing that I always liked about him in with all the teams he's managed, and this goes back to you saying he was like a teammate. Remember, he'd have wristbands on as a manager, and the big wristbands. And I think it was the old school ones. Remember in the 80s, the guys had wristbands with their face on it,
right,
stitched in there and their autograph. He had his Dusty Baker wristbands on, and that probably plays into, taking that player mentality to being a manager. Paulo goes to the right side and through the right side, and that's just the second hit for the Royals tonight. The Royals have had a base runner in 3 of 5 innings. Make that 4 of 5 innings, but 3 times not until 2 out. So they haven't been able to really gain any kind of momentum against Gio Gonzalez. Alcides Escobar's a tough luck 0 for 2. He is lined to right and grounded sharply to second base. 2 good swings to the opposite field. 80 pitches for Gio Gonzalez, so he's only given up 2 hits and 5 base runners, but he is labored at times. Esky going after a high fastball, looking for a pitch he could tie the game with, and he fouls it away.
Yep, looking for a double down the line. Any gap scores Paulo. Paulo has 1 steal this year.
And again, Escobar calls for time late, but Gonzalez really only has himself to blame.
Mixing up his pitches very well. He's got the fastball, 87 to 91, big curve, and a lot of changeups. But nice job mixing.
That is a foul ball. 0-2. Tough try.
Yeah,
tough try.
You know what? That ball had some top spin on it. It was hit well, and he got a little intimidated as the ball got close to him. Watch him. You can tell. I'm not sure about that.
That's okay. At least we didn't show it.
He's all right. Esky has the right idea, though.
That's out into left center field. Well hit, but a cool night with heavy air, and Taylor runs it down on the track. So the Royals strand Orlando at first base. Edinson Volquez back to the mound. We go to the 6th. Washington leads 2-0. In the top of the first inning against Edinson Volquez, and that's our score to the top of the 6th. Here's how they scored.
There it is. That's a great swing right there on a good executed pitch by Volquez. And then little fielder's choice. Scored run on.
And Volquez has been very good since that first inning. He has allowed 3 singles over the next 4 innings. He'll get Harper, Zimmerman, and Murphy in the 6th. Harper struck out in the first inning, giving him 5 straight strikeouts going back to yesterday in St. Louis, and then he flied to center in the third. We had George Brett here last inning, and Joel played a soundbite. Bryce Harper admired the way George Brett played the game, and Bryce Harper has some of that hair on fire mentality when he's on the field. And George also talked about how he got to college baseball at such a young age. That's in shallow left and going to drop in front of Alex, and Harper is on to begin the 6th. Bryce Harper needed only 2 years to get his high school GED, and so when he should have been a high school junior, he was playing college baseball for the College of Southern Nevada, so that made him eligible for the draft earlier than he would have been if he had had an entire 4-year high school career. You go to a non-4-year university and you're eligible for the draft after the first year, so he played 1 year of college baseball and drafted at 17.
Well, you know, there are some young athletes that know at an early age that they have the passion, they have the talent. You know, the parents have to help a lot at that age, taking them to all these tournaments and stuff. You know, you have to have a good set of parents, or at least grandparents, or somebody that can take you to all these places. And he knew right away at an early age, and he stayed at it. And he was one of those guys that was a baseball only guy. He stayed at it, didn't dabble in football or anything.
Now he's running, and now he's out. Harper thinks he was safe and points to his team's third base dugout. The second base umpire is C.B. Bucknor, and Harper's going to stay put at second base.
It looked to me on the live play that his hand might have gotten in there. We'll have to see it. But you know what? You've been teaching me, Rhino, all the time. It looks like doesn't work.
He's out.
Yeah. Okay, a different angle there. Good tag, get it on him, just put it down, got him just a split second before got his hand in there.
One and one on Zimmerman. You know, you don't often see, and that was a swing, 1-2. You don't often see a player respond like Harper did and still be out. I mean, you know, he's pointing at his ears. You know, sometimes a guy may look and say, hey, you know, suggesting take a look at him. He was convinced he was safe, and it was close. 2-2 on Zimmerman. I don't know if I've seen a guy react the way he did after he was called out.
No, the headphones is interesting. Look at him. No, go ahead, check them. Thank you. So the big difference too, of course, is a lot with the replay and everything. There's no arguments anymore at second base and the umpire.
That is the 4th strikeout for Edinson Volquez, and now 2 down in the 6th inning. Or did he get a piece of it? He did.
Salvi wanted him to check the ball.
Your thoughts?
Uncle Fester's here.
Pitch number 80, and now it's 3-2. Our trivia question had to do with the all-time home run leader for the Expos/Nationals franchise. Well, this guy here, Ryan Zimmerman, is the Nationals portion of it. The Nationals all-time leader in games, at-bats, hits, doubles, home runs, RBIs, and walks. Down on strikes, 2 down in the 6th inning. Speaking of that trivia question, Hud, our sprint trivia question: who holds the record most home runs for the Expos/Nationals?
All right. It's got to be Warren Cromartie. Andre
Warren
Dawson.
Cromartie.
Crow, I love Crow. How about
What?
How about
Warren Cromartie?
How about Carter?
How about, while we're at it, how about Delino DeShields?
Jose Vidro.
Warren Cromartie? How many home runs did Warren Cromartie hit?
Crow, he just his name jumped into my small mind.
Yeah, you know what I mean, because he's a good guy.
He's one of my favorite players. That's gonna hook.
By the way, Warren Cromartie hit 61 home runs.
All right.
Okay.
Big Daddy Vladdy.
Hey, I mean, Cromartie was close. I mean,
from his nose to his toes, that's how he goes. East and west, he's the best. Big Daddy Vladdy.
I think the answer began with, it's got to be Warren Cromartie.
Well,
were not that the exact words? I mean, because he's a good guy?
You know what? I told you, you've worked with me now for going on 5 years. The brain is not that large.
But you got the answer right.
Yeah, there it is. Line shot. Good break. Good jump. Oh, right off his glove. He was on it.
That ball looked like it changed directions a couple of times on its way out to center field.
Renzo Cain gets his glove on it. It's usually an out. Did everything right.
That's a milestone hit. That's base hit number 1,000 in Daniel Murphy's career. Those are the designated milestone baseball goggles. Here's Jason Worth.
He's not
He takes a strike.
He's not the authenticator. I believe he's the
Okay.
equipment man.
Murphy looks like he's upset with himself at second base.
When is he not? He's always talking to himself. He's an animated character.
One ball, one strike. Worth has struck out and flied to center. All right, well, we said we had Andre Dawson.
How about Tim Wallach? Missed him. Bench coach for Mattingly over in Miami. Gary Carter. I thought Carter might have been on there.
I said Larry Walker, who did not make the list, but he did most of his damage with Colorado. Good player with Montreal, but a great player with Colorado. Murphy was not looking as the throw went back to Volquez, so he could have advanced to third base. I don't know if it's worth it with Worth at the plate.
Okay, watch. He's going back to the bag. His head's down. Head's down. He's not even watching the ball. If he's watching the ball, he advances. Always, when you're on the base, don't take your eye off the ball. Even when you're going back to the base, you watch that pitcher, and you're focused. You're out there. You're a base runner. You want to advance on any little thing, any little ball that drops.
Three and one.
Watch him. He's going to go back to the base, expecting just going to be a routine throw back to the pitcher. You can't assume in baseball.
Foul ball.
Good non-play by the ball boy down the line. He didn't try to field it. He was so close. He just picked up his stool and vacated the area.
Good hustle. Now he's got to go get the ball. When you played, if a ball boy did that, he might get fired. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you tried to keep the balls in the game, and those became batting practice balls if they were no good for the game.
It's a way that management saved money. Didn't have to.
Now Salvi and Volquez will talk over the 3-2 pitch to Worth. Let's go to Joel.
By the way, one of those career 61 homers for Warren Cromartie came in 1991, his only year as a Kansas City Royal. I mentioned that. Monty says what?
I think he had a home run and win a game against the Boston Red Sox.
Indeed, he did. 9th inning, down by a couple of runs, August 17th, 1991. Game-winning home run from Warren Cromartie. There you go, Hud.
Hey, thank you, Joel. You know, maybe it's because Cromartie is nice pitch.
Quit while you're ahead, Hud. Quit while you're ahead.
Sorry.
5 strikeouts for Volquez in 6 innings, and now the Royals need to get the offense going against Gio Gonzalez. Two 2-0 Nationals, bottom of the 6th inning. Very creative. That way, no matter where the camera is, you're going to get your sign on TV.
That's right.
All right, the Royals have Kane, Hosmer, and Morales against Gio Gonzalez. Curveball is high. It's our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Anton Anderson from Overland Park. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Anton wins $700. By the way, it would be just the 2nd home run allowed by Gio Gonzalez this year. If the Royals hit a grand slam, then Anton wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Royals. This is the 2nd straight start that Gonzalez has taken a shutout into the 6th inning. It's a foul ball, and it's 1-2.
Well, you know, the way he's mixing them, and that fastball looks really sneaky. I mean, it's looks velocity-wise a lot harder than it really is, and that's a compliment to his changeup and curve.
Two and two.
If you're going to have a good changeup, you've got to be able to pitch inside. You see Lobaton all night moving in, not just moving on the inside part of the plate. His whole body is like half a foot inside next to that hitter. Really wants to accentuate coming in.
Yes. Ooh. And he got Kane. And talking about Lobaton, did you see what he did there before that pitch? He popped his glove really hard with his fist toward the inside part of the plate. and then move the target away.
And that works because the hitter, you're aware of everything. You're watching the pitcher, but you hear stuff too. And I remember Ivan Rodriguez used to do that. See that? Kind of pounds his glove inside, and then sometimes you feel like it could be a fastball coming.
That's the first strikeout for Gonzalez, who's been striking out about 1 an inning coming into tonight. And now inside to Eric Hosmer, who has walked twice. One and one.
That's the one Haas laces to left field. Fastball middle away.
And that's through. A base hit for Hosmer. Hosmer takes a wide turn and he will hold. So Eric Hosmer now has 12 plate appearances in his career against Gio Gonzalez, and he's reached 10 times. Let's go to Joel.
Well, here's our Taminia Mazda game break. You guys mentioned it before. Let's flash back to 2011, May 6th. Look at the young Eric Hosmer, 20 years old. Yes, he flashed that future Gold Glove leather that day. His first plate appearance against Gio Gonzalez, a walk, a couple of walks, stole a base, would go on the next day to get his first big league hit, 2 more on May 8th. So 3 hits in the series. What a special day, guys. Remember that? At least Ryan, that's all anyone was talking about in Kansas City. And I thought it was very interesting that day I saw Eric walking through the hallway, and he stopped to introduce himself or say hi to Gio Gonzalez, who was getting a haircut in the spot that's now known as the place where he gets the Haas haircut. He said he knew him from back home, like you mentioned. Their brothers played, or he played against Hosmer's brother in high school as they were rivals.
Base hit left field for Kendrys Morales. First time the Royals have had more than 1 hit in an inning. And the Royals have 2 on, 1 out.
All right. Maybe it's some time for some frenzy hitting. There's the one pitch that Morales got. Changeup that was up. Those balls get hit hard by right-handed hitters, because rarely do you see a changeup up there. Usually on the outside corner and down. Took advantage of it.
It's just the second time all night the Royals have had a runner past first base.
But it gradually, you know, the more you see him, the more you hit him. I mean, it's not a large number, but maybe this is the inning.
And now Alex, who has always done well against the National League. Good time to break out right here. And that's foul past Rusty Kuntz. 0-1, our Kubota power stats. Alex against the National League last year in particular. He has good career numbers, but last year he hit .333 with 3 home runs and 9 driven in. Solis warms up in the Nationals bullpen. Sammy Solis. Down and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Alex was hit by a pitch in the second inning by Gonzalez, and then grounded to first in the 4th.
A rare night here at the K where there's no wind at all.
Inside, 2-1. Another left-hand batter that's done very well against Gonzalez in the past. Just told you, Eric Hosmer has reached 10 times in 12 career plate appearances against Gonzalez. Outside, 3-1. Salvador Perez is on deck.
See if Alex can stay in the middle of the field here, 3-1, if he decides to swing at this. Ball moving away from him. You try to pull it. Sometimes you hit it on the ground. Murphy way over in the hole, the second baseman.
On the ground to first and just foul.
It's one of his problems he's been having. He wants to come out of his little funk so badly that he pulls his way. That's a typical thing for a hitter. You want to pull your way out, but it's that opposite field that gets you locked in. Right down the middle. That's middle of the plate. Pulled off of it.
Broken bat. And Harper plays it in right field. Hosmer was not tagging. And they're 2 down.
Right idea. Lobaton wanted it in and he left it up, and that's Alex's pitch right there, and he just couldn't meet it in the square part of the bat.
Salvador Perez has popped to short and grounded to third. He has hit 3 of his 4 home runs at Kauffman Stadium this year. Fastball away. Royals had a good day yesterday, hitting with runners in scoring position, which was a big problem during the 5-game losing streak. They were 3 for 9 yesterday. They had been 0 for 23. They are just 0 for 1 so far tonight after the Alex Gordon fly out to right. So very few opportunities against Gio Gonzalez. Breaking ball over the outside, 1-1. Not the pitch that he wanted.
Nope, that's a backdoor curve. Release point, picks it up, it's way outside.
In the air to left center field. He didn't get it. And Taylor is over to make the play, and the Royals leave 2 in the 6th. They have stranded 6 in 6 innings. job tonight. Dusty Baker to Gio Gonzalez as the Nationals lead 2-0 to the top of the 7th inning. Wednesday on an all-new The Ultimate Fighter, Team Joanna against Team Claudia. The coaches' feud intensifies as each team sends their top fighter into the octagon. The biggest fight of the season is now. The Ultimate Fighter is Wednesday at 9 p.m. only on FS1. And don't miss Tough Talk immediately following each new episode all season long. Volquez stays on for the 7th. He'll get the lower third in the Nationals order, beginning with Stephen Drew. .92 pitches for Volquez. He has retired Drew twice on a strikeout and a groundout. It'll be Drew, Lobaton, and Espinoza. That is a foul ball off the end of the bat, 1-1.
That last inning, Alex Gordon and Salvi got pitches that they can handle. It wasn't like Gio Gonzalez was making tough pitches on him and you were saying, wow, that's tough to hit. He left him out over the middle, but he's so sneaky quick they couldn't time it right and they couldn't barrel him. They got their pitches, but they were just off. You know, I don't know. I mean, can you fault the hitters for that, or do you give Gio Gonzalez some credit? I mean, mistakes like that you get away with, most of the time it's a hitter will say, hey, I missed it. You know, but he's been good. He's been effective.
Well, there's Joakim Soria warming up with Danny Duffy, and Joakim Soria is that type of guy. At least when he was closer for the Royals, he would throw a lot of fastballs, and maybe not right down the middle of the plate, but in a pretty hittable zone, and guys just didn't square him up, and they would go back to the dugout mumbling at themselves. Why didn't I do more with that pitch? But from the Royals' perspective, it was, well, that's Soria. And that's probably exactly how the Nationals feel right now. That's why Gio Gonzalez carried a 1.42 ERA into the game tonight, and that's going to go down with 6 scoreless innings. Chris Young.
Yep.
How many times has a hitter gotten a pitch up in the strike zone against Chris Young and said to himself, darn, I should have done more with that pitch? Well, there have been thousands and thousands of darns against Chris Young over the years, when you begin to realize that they don't see the pitch up in the strike zone against him like they do other pitchers.
You know, coming in, when you check out the pitcher's numbers, you know, I usually look at their innings pitch, you know, strikeouts. That usually tells you what kind of power pitcher they are. Gonzalez had coming in 25 strikeouts and 25 in the 3rd innings. I'm thinking, wow. And I looked at his velocity, and he doesn't have that great velocity, so it tells you the secondary pitches are really good. And those pitches, those secondary pitches, get in the back of the mind of the hitter, and it makes him a tad late for that cookie down the middle. So you got to credit his curve and his change tonight for getting this job done.
Still 3-2 on Drew. Royals had a runner at second base only 2 times against Gonzalez in the 6 innings. Kane in the 3rd, Hosmer in the 6th.
Just 1 strikeout tonight, so a couple walks. I mean, Royals they're putting the ball in play. They've had good at-bats, but no results.
Drew strikes out. That's the 2nd time that Volquez has struck out the Nationals DH, and Volquez has 6 tonight.
Fastball down the middle, he missed completely.
This will be pitch number 100. His first to Jose Lobaton, who is line to center and single to right. Breaking ball for a strike. Volquez really fought it in the 1st inning. The only pitch he really had command of in that inning was his changeup. He needed 29 pitches to get out of the 1st and allowed 2 runs, but he has been almost spot on since. On the ground to Hosmer. That's a fair ball. And 2 down. New this season, the remodeled Rivals Sports Bar now offers front row seating. Each game ticket includes a bar rail in front of each seat and $20 in loaded value with in-seat service. For more information on pricing or to reserve your seats today, go to Royals.com/tickets or 1-800-6-ROYALS and experience the new Rivals Sports Bar. Danny Espinosa. Now apparently that's Danny Espinosa's picture up on the video board. Remember the Mariners the other day? They had the beanie cap beard night. It was a beanie cap that had a beard attached to it.
I do.
That's the same guy right there at the plate. Was that a real beard that he had on, or was that just
it was
like a prop of some sort?
I don't know. He's got the facial hair when he wants to. Edison, nice job. Way to recover.
Kauffman Stadium, the Royals with no runs, 4 hits against Gio Gonzalez. They'll try their luck now with Sammy Solis. He's a Chevy call to the bullpen out of the Nationals pen and appearing for just the 3rd time this year. The Royals will have Omar Infante, Christian Colon, and Paulo Orlando.
Solis, 92-97. Fastball slider. He's got to change up once in a while, but he's going to bring it to you. Here's the kind of guy that Mike Maddox, his pitching coach, is telling me before the game about him. 6'5", 250. Here it comes. Keep it simple. Hit it. Eliminate the thinking. Look for the fastball out over the plate if you're a hitter. See if you can tag him.
Tied him up. Harper waits for it in right field. Infante is out. He is 0 for 3. On that topic, we saw the same approach from Danny Duffy yesterday in Seattle, which I thought was the key to the game when the Royals had that 3-0 lead in the 6th inning. The Mariners had the bases loaded, nobody out, and Danny didn't fuss around with any pitch but his fastball because all he needed was his fastball.
Great to see when you have that type of velocity. That's a power pitch, a way above average pitch, take your chances and say, all right, here it is. There's a slider.
Colon is flied to center and grounded out to short. Two and one. Royals have had runners in every inning except for the fourth, but they have had more than one runner in only 2 innings. And twice, only twice, have they gotten a runner to second base. Solis fields, turns, throws, and there are 2 down.
Well, how did they see?
Rally skirts, maybe?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you can see through it. They negotiated the steps, no problem.
Well, I hope the eye part is the only thing you can see through.
Expose yourself there, can't you?
Paulo is singled and grounded out to first. That was on a bunt attempt, and that's popped up. The outfield has been busy for the Nationals tonight. Taylor brings it down, and for just the second time tonight, the Royals go an inning without a base runner. Try and give Ned Yost 8 innings tonight. He's down 2-0. It is a cool night, but in our Taminia Mazda game break, nothing like 3 years ago today. Yep, that's snow falling out of the sky at Kauffman Stadium. That was before and during a game with the Tampa Bay Rays. The game, what did we go, about 3.5 innings, maybe 4 innings, and then canceled due to snow. The first time Kansas City had measurable snowfall since 1907. As Volquez pitches to Michael Taylor and throws a breaking ball for a strike. And if I recall, the Royals were winning that game, and it was cold, and we had the windows closed, so it was a lot warmer up here than it was down there, so I don't want to diminish how uncomfortable it was on the field. But hey, everyone knew it was going to be a rough weather day. Rain turned to snow, so they stopped the game and then eventually called the game. Trevor Vance and his grounds crew did a fantastic job to keep the field playable. And Evan Longoria, the great third baseman for the Rays, was just wearing out the third base umpire. This is what we found out after the fact, who I think was Ted Barrett, if I recall. One of the real good guys in the game, Ted Barrett. And Longoria was going, come on, you can't play in this. And this is before the heavy. It wasn't snowing like that during the game. It eventually snowed like that. But
they were obviously wanting off the field.
They want off the field. They were losing. And so, you know, hey, if you're going to lose the game, and everyone was just trying to get through 4.5 innings to make it official. 2-2 on Taylor. So finally, Ted Barrett, who was the crew chief, waved his arms. That's it. Get off the field. And we knew once they got off the field, they were never going to get back on the field again. So it sounded like a good idea at the time, but then later in the summer, Tampa Bay had to come back to Kansas City in the middle of an East Coast road trip. They had a day off on the East Coast. Taylor is down on strikes, and that is 7 for Edinson Volquez. 1 down in the 8th inning. And the Royals just pulverized the Rays that day, and I think it was the beginning of a late season slide for them. I mean, they lost like 12 of 16 games or something like that. And when the season was over and they look back on what happened during that slide, they started pointing to losing that day off, flying from the East Coast to Kansas City to play 1 game, lose, turn around and go back to the East Coast.
It messed them up.
Yep. It was a lesson in karma.
That's right.
Dave Holtzman is doing exhaustive research. Take us back to 2013. Rendon takes low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, the Rays lost 13 out of 17 and knocked them out of the playoffs that year, and a lot of them pointed to having to fly back to Kansas City to make up that game. And I remember of course we were biased because we wanted the Royals to win the game, but I felt so badly for Trevor Vance and his crew because they were they were working so hard just to keep the field playable. And people were saying afterward that it was the cold, it wasn't the field. The field was fine. And then the game didn't even count. Oh well, such is life. 7 1/3 innings for Volquez. By the way, that's the longest start for any Royals pitcher so far this year.
Just got to like the way he recovered from that first inning. And it was the first inning that threw him off in his last start in Anaheim as well. But he recovered. He picked up his tempo. He started following Salvi's lead and keeping the ball down. And really, he's done a marvelous job. Expecting his offense to come back and pick him up and get the lead. They just couldn't do it for him so far.
Going to try and go the changeup. And Rendon thought about it, but was able to check. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And I would think that if Volquez can get through the 8th inning, that would give his hitters a lift. That he battled. He's going to throw at least 115 pitches if he can get 2 outs on 2 pitches coming up here to get through 8, but to hang in there and qualify for a victory. Popped up.
There's 1.
2-hand grab by Escobar. And now 2 down in the 8th inning. Celebrate the 2015 World Series championship by ordering your own piece from the Royals official fan collection, including rings, pendants, cufflinks, and more. Shop online at royals.com/fanrings. Well, Volquez won't get a shot at 8 innings, but the crowd appreciates it anyway. 7 2/3 innings. That's the longest start for a Royals starter this year. And now Danny Duffy is a Chevy call to the bullpen. handshakes of congratulations for Edinson Volquez, Dave Island, Dale Swaim, Ned Yost. 7 2/3. That's the longest start for a Royal this year. And he really struggled to get through the first inning. And then after that, 6 2/3 scoreless.
Yeah.
Mike Jerschele gives him a little love.
Great to see Edinson return to Edinson Volquez. I mean, he had a rough outing his last outing. One of the worst in his career. He bounced back.
So Danny Duffy comes on to pitch to Bryce Harper. Harper is 1 for 3 with a bloop single. Danny Duffy assumed the fireman's role yesterday in Seattle. Luke Hochevar was not available with a tight right elbow. Ned Yost said before the game tonight that he thought Hochevar would be available. And the reason he said he thought is because when Ned meets with the media, it's before the pitchers have a chance to finish stretching and playing catch. And it's usually then that they will report to Dave Island how they feel. So, but Ned fully expected Luke to be available. .97.
Bayou. Harper 300 hitter against lefties this year. Even. Couple of homers. There it is. Hit it.
So why not go right back to it? 2 2.
You know, at that velocity, you have a split second to see the ball at all. You just kind of try to stay as short with your swing as you can. Ooh, man, listen to Salvi pop that glove.
Just below the knees at 98.
I'm looking down at the Washington Nationals dugout, and I see Dusty Baker looking at a few of his coaches, and they're just bobbing their head. They're shaking their head. Yes.
Strike 3 called. Danny Duffy gets Bryce Harper, and Volquez and Duffy get the Nationals in order in the 8th inning.
Get that paintbrush out, Harper. You got to go.
Royals baseball is brought to you by your local Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Visit for great prices on all The new 2016 Malibus by Panera Bread. Food as it should be with 24 Kansas City metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. Big crowd here tonight on a cool night. Beginning of May. Royals are 1-0 in this brand new month. Down 2-0 in the bottom of the 8th inning. This is Sean Kelly. He's had a good start to the year. 10 appearances, no runs allowed. Alcides Escobar drives it into left center field. Worth is not able to pick it off. Esky to second and a hold with a leadoff double. He has had 4 good swings tonight, and yet that is his only hit. Comes at a good time.
Sure does. Get this 8th inning started the right way. And you know what? The 3 hits he got yesterday up in Seattle, that really helped him. And that was a slider. First pitch hanging right over the middle of the plate. Didn't miss it. Good, short, compact swing. Directed it right where it needed to be to get on. See if the Royals can work a little bit of their magic late in the game here.
It's the first extra base hit tonight for the Royals. And gets us to Lorenzo Cain. Lorenzo is 1 for 3. And after early struggles has hit in 5 straight games. Fastball is upstairs.
There you go. 6'2", 230 Sean Kelly. 88-93 with his fastball. 4 and 2 seamer. He'll sink it. His strikeout pitch is his slider, the one he hung to Escobar. He's got an occasional changeup he'll work in there.
Slider is fouled away. Royals have seen quite a bit of Sean Kelly. He's pitched most of his career with Seattle. And Lorenzo is 1 for 3 with a home run against Kelly. On the other side, Kelly has struck him out twice.
Lorenzo's been going to the opposite field a lot in those last few games, so it'd be advisable here to move the runner over and ooh, good swing. That's what you want. Try to drop that in over there, maybe trade places with him, but at least try to move the runner here. Just down by 2. But now with 2 strikes on, there's that slider that he missed again out over the middle of the plate, and Lorenzo couldn't get it.
And Lorenzo would really like to do something here. If he could take one thing back tonight, it would be his attempted steal of 3rd with 2 down in the 3rd inning. And Morales at the plate. Tried to sneak a fastball by him. It's 93. Well, if you're 10 games over 500 this early in the season, chances are your bullpen is off to a good start. Our Toyota League leaders for tonight. And those are all good teams. The White Sox lead the Central. The Mets are right behind the Nationals in the East. They just won 8 straight games. And then there's Washington 14-0, leading after 7 innings. Strike 3 over the outside. And that'll be the Royals' only shot at Sean Kelly tonight.
Put it down in a pretty nice spot, but 2 strikes on you. Gotta be slashing.
Oliver Perez comes in to face Eric Hosmer. comes on with Eric Hosmer at the plate. Kendrys Morales on deck in his first year at the Nationals. There was a very key matchup in last year's division series between Oliver Perez and Eric Hosmer. And now here they are with Hosmer representing the tying run with 1 out in the 8th inning. It was game 2 of the division series, and remember, Houston had already won game 1, and the Astros had a 4-2 lead in the 6th inning. Eric Hosmer just protecting the strike zone with 2 strikes, poked a base hit into left field to score Lorenzo Cain, and the Royals ended up tying the game in that inning and then winning game 2 to even the series.
Man.
Not a strike. 0-2.
Ooh, you rushed him up and in. Perez, he's funky. He varies his release points. Very loose arm, herky-jerky type motion, very tough to focus on. Oz had no chance at that pitch. 3/4 sidearm delivery makes it really tough on a lefty. Keep his front side in.
Ooh, that was a swing. So 3 pitches. Hosmer is down. And Alcides Escobar with that leadoff double is still at second base. And the Royals are 0 for 4 tonight with a runner in scoring position. It's like a little dance move when he gets ready to pick up the sign from the catcher.
He's a little quirky.
Is Kendrys due, or is Kendrys due?
I think he's overdue.
Morales had at least 2 tough luck at bats yesterday in Seattle, lining out to right, grounding very sharply to the second baseman who is playing in shallow right. Tonight he had a ball to the fence in left field, which would have tied the game in the bottom of the first, but Jason Worth made the play at the fence, so he's had good swings, just not a lot to show for it. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Watch Oliver Perez. I don't ever remember him, or any pitcher for that matter, turning his glove before he gets to something. Right now, look at where he's holding his glove. It's open. He's turning it inside, and it's showing the inside of his glove to the hitter.
There's a pitch that Kendrys wanted. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Look at that. He's turning his glove where it's open right there. You see it? He's showing the hitter the inside of his glove. I've never seen it before.
Ooh, fastball got him looking. So the Royals had a runner at second with nobody out. Cain and Morales are caught looking, and Hosmer goes down swinging. And the Nationals, who are 5th in the National League in home runs, did not bring the lumber with the long ball tonight, but they brought the lumber in the top of the first inning against Edinson Volquez with some good 2-strike hitting.
Yep, they caught Edison in that first inning when most pitchers are trying to find out what's working for them as far as their pitch selection, and they found a hole. And then the little fielder's choice there got the next run in, and that's where we stood the whole night.
Left center field, deep, long run for Kane and Gordon, and it's going to be off the warning track and into the first row. Ryan Zimmerman has his second double. So the Royals just had a runner at second base with nobody out in the 8th inning and failed to advance Escobar. Now the Nationals, already leading 2-0, have a runner at second base and nobody out in the 9th.
Zimmerman was looking for the first pitch fastball, there's no question about it. But watch Lorenzo Cain at the top of your screen. Barely even moved. He even slowed down. I don't know if he thought that ball was going to be out of the park or what. Must not have seen it.
Well, the ball had the trajectory of being a home run to left center field. I don't know how it sounded to him in center field, but as we've been pointing out since the first inning, this is not the type of night where the ball is going to get any extra carry at Kauffman Stadium. Now Daniel Murphy. He drove in one of the 2 runs back in the first inning. Duffy misses outside with ball 1. Murphy's had an open dialogue with home plate umpire Manny Gonzalez all night, asking about pitches he has swung at, asking about pitches he has taken, and everything else in between. Base hit left field. Zimmerman will be held at third by Bob Henley. So first and third and nobody out, and that's a 3-hit game for Daniel Murphy. Remember, Royals fans, it's time to vote for your All-Stars. You can vote up to 35 times for your Royals online, including a maximum of 5 ballots cast in any 24-hour period. So be a part of Major League Baseball history once again and help, as you did last year, select the starting lineups for the 2016 All-Star game. Royals had a huge impact in their fans for the 2015 All-Star game last year in Cincinnati. Chin-Ming Wong is warming up in the Royals bullpen, and Salvador Perez might be going out to stall. And Ned Yost is going to stay with Danny Duffy to face Jason Worth.
Yep, infielders got to come in. They need a little ground ball and want to hold the runner.
On the ground, Duffy's play is to first, close but out. That is a long throw for a pitcher, and Duffy had very little time to find his target.
Especially on a swing from a big right-handed hitter. Now it helps that most lefties do fall to the third base side, so he had a little advantage there, but then there's that arm. Yeah, he unloaded on Haas there and threw him a 95-mile-an-hour fastball right there.
Jason Worth was upset with something other than himself as he went back to the dugout, and now Chris Heisey is going to bat for Stephen Drew. Heisey has 13 pinch hit home runs in his career, and that's the most in the major leagues since he got to the big leagues, and he has 2 of those pinch hit home runs this year.
Wow. you're that kind of threat off of the bench. That's big time. The opposing managers, they've got to work their bullpen around a guy like this. And that manager, he's well aware of Heisey sitting over there with those kind of numbers.
1 ball and 1 strike. Heisey is not so sure.
If he'd have hit that, that'd have exploded his bat.
Infield in with Zimmerman at third, Murphy at second, 1 out. 96. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One of those pinch hit home runs for Heisey this year was yesterday in St. Louis. And since he has come to the big leagues, not only does he have the most pinch hit home runs, he has the most pinch hit RBIs. That's going back to 2010. Foul tip, strike 3. 2 down.
Just stayed with that gasoline. Climbed the ladder on him.
And now it's Jose Lobaton. Zimmerman is at third, Murphy's at second. Nationals had runners at first and third with nobody out. And now second and third with 2 down. Changeup. 1 ball and no strikes.
It's the first changeup he's thrown in his 15 pitches. You really don't need that pitch when you've got that kind of velocity, and this keeps him honest with a little slurvy breaking ball.
Two 2-0. Duffy came on in the 8th inning with 2 outs and nobody on to face Bryce Harper, and he struck him out looking. Went with a slide step and then 95 miles an hour to make it 2-1.
Be nice to have an arm like that, wouldn't it?
Just for one day.
Yeah, you just spare back and blow it by guys.
Just wonder, what does that feel like to just unload a pitch and it comes out at 98 miles an hour? I mean, does your hand burn after you release the ball?
I mean, how does Salvi's glove hand feel?
Walked him. And now they're loaded up for Espinoza. It has not been a bad night for the Royals when it comes to walks. Although Edinson Volquez did walk the first hitter of the game, and Michael Taylor did come around to score. But the Royals have really had a lot of trouble this year with walks. They have the most walks in the American League. But they have only walked 2 tonight in 9 innings. The first batter of the game and the most recent batter of the game. And now Espinoza, switch hitter, will move over to the right side. Overthrew that one, and Salvador Perez recognized that. So we're going to go out and talk to the left-hander he's been with since they were 18 years old in the minor leagues.
Yep. If anybody knows him, Salvi does. And if you watch Espinoza, you can't stand any more upright than he is. I mean, he's standing straight up. I mean, there's no bend in his knees at all. And then he's going to pick up that leg and load up his lower half of that flamingo kick. But look at that. Not any bend. Maybe just slightly in his back leg.
Ooh, look out. He almost hit Ryan Zimmerman leading off of third base.
Base coach Bob Henley, man, he was in range of that too.
Fastball was way outside, and now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Now sometimes when we got a guy throwing 95% fastballs, you're going to go up there and you're going to say, okay, it's coming, I'm going to get it. So you gear on swinging, and that was what that was.
Decide you're going to swing before you even see where the pitch is going to be.
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to cheat a little bit. You're going to start your swing before you even let go of the ball.
Danny Duffy gets himself in and out of trouble in the 9th inning as the Nationals lead the bases loaded. Last call for the Royals, down 2-0. Alex Gordon, Salvador Perez, and Omar Infante are coming up. Royals baseball is brought to you by Thoroughbred Ford. Ready for a great deal on a new Ford? Then it's time to go to Thoroughbred Ford. And by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. Now the Royals are trying to avoid being shut out for the 3rd time in 5 games. And they'll go up against Jonathan Papelbon in his first full season with the Nationals. He made plenty of headlines last year in his first partial season with Washington. 357 career saves. And he's on to face Alex Gordon, Salvador Perez, and Omar Infante. Strike to Alex.
He's a veteran minus some velocity. 88 to 92, maybe a 93 in there. He's got a slider and a split finger.
One and one. We were discussing earlier how the Nationals fell short of big expectations last season, and they really took a dive after acquiring Jonathan Papelbon. Off speed and taken for a strike, and it's 1-2. The Nationals were 7 games above 500, and they had a 2-game lead in the National League East when they traded for Jonathan Papelbon and demoted Drew Storen. And that move backfired. And it wasn't that Papelbon sunk the team, but it somewhat sunk team morale. And then there was that incident in the dugout with Papelbon and Harper as the Nationals continued to fall in the East.
Little chemical reaction. So Alex has seen all fastballs and one split finger. Split finger's about 85. And it dips away, sinks away from the lefty.
Still 2-2.
Lobaton sitting way outside, and it was right down the middle on the inner half. Jammed Alex.
Boy, there was a time when Papelbon was with the Red Sox and he was 96, 97.
Right.
Nasty movement. And the ball pops out of Lobaton's glove. So good fortune for Alex Gordon and the Royals. Don't forget to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the Kansas City metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. .91 miles an hour. Papelbon is not getting the ball where he wants it, and Alex is just not quite right with his timing.
Looks to me like Alex's bat is slow. That's all there is to it. Those are 91. He's not getting to those pitches.
Is
those
that
are right
the result of muscling up maybe a little bit?
I think it is. I think it's too much. Maybe too much lower body, not enough hands, but he's just not getting to those pitches.
Full count. Salvador Perez waits on deck. Royals need at least one base runner for a chance. In the air to center field, not deep. Taylor started back, but has plenty of time to adjust and makes a play. Alex had quite a few hittable pitches in that at bat against Papelbon. So 1 down to Salvador Perez.
She's crediting Lobaton with staying with the fastball. They could tell that Alex was getting beat on that 91, and they stayed right with it. And that's what Papelbon was yelling at his catcher. Good job.
Again, shallow center field, and again Taylor. Salvi is 0 for 4. Coming up after the game, it's Boulevard Royals Live with Joel and Monty. So far on the positive, Edinson Volquez, who got knocked around in his previous start, goes 7 2/3 innings and gives up 2 runs. On the negative, the Royals offense has been shut down, and they are 1 out away from being shut out for the 3rd time in the last 4 games. Shut out Friday and Saturday in Seattle, and then the Royals won yesterday. Fonte takes a changeup for a strike. The Royals have had a runner get past first base only 3 times tonight. Infante is 0 for 3. All the outs have been in the air. 1 ball, 1 strike. In the 3rd inning with 2 outs and nobody on, the Royals had runners at 1st and 2nd, and then Lorenzo Cain was caught stealing with Kendrys Morales at the plate. In the 6th inning with 1 out, the Royals had 2 on, and then a leadoff double in the 8th inning. And all those innings they did not score. And now 1 ball and 2 strikes as Infante is trying to get on and get the game to Mike Moustakas, who's going to bat for Christian Colon. Colon got the start at 3rd tonight as the Nationals started lefty Gio Gonzalez.
Rolled him a slider there at last pitch.
Two and two. That'll be a foul ball.
Papelbon, obviously, with tremendous experience, been to the top of the mountain, and now he's velocity-wise not the same, but they're relying on that experience and that of closing down games.
Game over. So the Nationals show why they have the best ERA in the National League. Gio Gonzalez, Sammy Solis, Sean Kelly, Oliver Perez, and Jonathan Papelbon. A 5-pitcher shutout. The Nationals got 2 runs in the top of the 1st inning, and that was it. And Washington improves to 11 games above 500. And the Royals drop to 13 and 12. We'll be right back.